Yeah, another straw man video response video, and I shall respond to the straw man and explain it from Anekantavad. So he says, why is always a loaded question. So obviously even in the title you can get the always right there. So he would say to you that asking a rapist, why do you think you have a right to rape a woman? Or ask a child molester, why do you think you have a right to satisfy yourself at the harm of some innocent child? He would say that question is just as illegitimate as asking somebody, why are you eating so many beer nuts at the bar? Those two questions in his brain are always the same. Yeah, which is idiotic. So yeah, we know there's lots of categories of judgment. There's insipid, arrogant, obnoxious, moral judgments, like assholes who will say homosexuality is bad, and then they would make that into a why question. Why are you offending God? And the simple answer would be, because I don't believe in God, you silly fuck. But anyway, and he's even implying that it's somehow offensive just to ask the question why. Why is why a bad word in this man's mind? This man thinks why is an illegitimate concept, that we shouldn't have to simply account for our functionality. Why did you fart in that poor woman's face? It's a legitimate question. Why did you grope that girl on the bus? These are legitimate fucking questions. When somebody does something, why are you walking down the middle of the road? I mean, people could ask this question and say, don't you realize you're risking people's safety? They're allowed to do that. And most of these harm questions, personal harm questions, come down to some equation like that, because we have a society, a civilization, and when somebody squanders or wastes, we know that comes out of our pocket. If somebody litters, we know that somebody has to clean up the litter. We can ask somebody, why are you pouring toxic waste into the drinking water? Why are you throwing steam into the ground to pump oil out of the ground when you know it's polluting our water? Why are you doing that? Why do you think that's a sensible thing to do in the long term? And again, a lot of these equations have to do with long term versus short term, right? And a lot of these questions are, yes, the people asking why are assholes. Sometimes the people asking why are thinking they have a right to ask why. Are ignorant, because they're not appreciating the fact that there's a long-term benefit to what's being done. So like cigarette smoking or some other issue versus, say, overeating. Now, Anekantavad uses this whole part of the video to do some rag about cigarette smoking. And I wonder, he has this urge to tell smokers they're being stupid. He wants to ask them why. I wonder if he has the same urge about asking people, why they are eating too much. Does he go up to fat people and tell them, you're too fat, you ought to do something about it, shithead? I wonder. Does he go up to people and ask them what their sexual practices are and explain to them that, statistically, women especially, the more different penises you have in your vagina, the more likely you are to get cervix cancer? Do you show them the charts and explain to them that their sexual practices are inappropriate? That they should be having sex in plastic bags like all the sensible people do? Do you walk around with condoms? Talk about safe sex? Oh no, it's just cigarette smokers, I get it. And the joke on the cigarette smoking thing is that, it kills you way late in life, okay? Do you talk to, look, you're a drunk, aren't you? Can't remember. No. But do you walk up all the drinkers and say stop drinking? I mean, obviously that's just a lose all the way around, right? I mean, that's just a killer all over the place. I mean, literally a killer. I mean, it literally kills people. It's the most associated drug with violence in society. It gets wives beaten, it gets kids abused. It's just a total loser all over the place. Plus, it makes the people terribly expensive because they destroy their liver. Yeah, cigarette smokers kill old people. They kill you when you're already done anyway. All right, you've had your fun, you're finished, and it's time to go anyway. Cigarettes are like the perfect drug. But regardless, whatever. Vice is vice, blah, 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 blah. Yes, if you want to work perfectly efficiently, you should just eat, plain rice and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we can all be sure to be perfect. But that's not really the issue here. But again, so his point in doing this, though, again, just recognize, he's saying all judgments are equal. And obviously some judgments are incredibly sensible to pass. Sometimes we do have a right, and we have an obligation to oblige our fellow citizens to be decent and orderly and sensible, because we have to pay for it. Okay, our little kids will get killed if we don't do that. So it's perfectly rational. A whole set of why questions are perfectly sensible. But this idiot, this nihilist motherfucking cunt bastard, okay, doesn't want you to understand that. He wants the liberty to put all questions in the same category so he can be a taker. I mean, he's obviously got some taker agenda. He's obviously got some super vice in his past or in his present. And, he's got people in his basement that he eats or something. There's something he's doing to feel the necessity to destroy judgment. Because there's, frankly, most judgments we pass on each other really aren't. People don't walk up to Fatty and say, "You're too fat, fucker." They really don't. Okay, there literally isn't too many people that are obnoxious about their judgments. They pass them in secret, right? They go in the bus, they go, "Do you see that dirty pig? Do you see what that fucker's doing? He just hit that fucking woman." Yeah, we do that. We don't get in the face. We don't fix the problem. We don't pass the judgment in any kind of real way. We don't walk up to the prego and say, "What do you think you're doing, you fucking dumb cunt? There's 7 billion people on this planet. It's unsustainable population growth." Do you know what unsustainable means? It means that your fucking kid isn't going to have food, you stupid cunt. Or some kid isn't going to have food. You just don't care because it's not your kid, right, bitch? Does anybody do that? No, we're all pretty polite about it. So what's the fucking problem, asshole? What are you griping on the internet for about judgment? Where is judgment so fucking obnoxious? There's too little fucking judgment in the goddamn world, asshole. Not too much of it. Because some Catholic nuns have found some kind of fucking lesbian stick up their ass and resent everybody who has a penis or something, that doesn't mean the sensible reaction for some crazy fuck like you is to say, ooh, the nuns made me feel guilty. And so I have to sit there and ruin the whole concept of judgment. And I can't let anybody pass judgment on anybody because a nun caught me masturbating and made me feel bad. Well, guess what? That has nothing to do with reality, shithead. Get over yourself. Okay? There is reason to pass judgment. There is reason to improve human behavior. There is reason to fucking get pissed off about what's going on in this fucking world, you dumbass. Jesus Christ. All right, let's play the end of his video just for the fun of it.
And they have to overcome my objections to cigarette smoking. Otherwise, they have no justification for smoking a cigarette, because I've got all the reasons why they shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you don't have any rational reasons why they shouldn't do it. Why? Oh, I shouldn't be a productive citizen, enjoy my vice, okay, my addiction, use it to make myself in some ways more efficient because I can control my psychology a little bit, gives me a little bit of control over my mood and disposition, and I find it, it gives me some sort of hope. Yeah, there's my explanation. And yes, it won't kill me until I'm useless anyway. Generally speaking.
Well, I'm, in a sense, I'm approaching that person from a position of authority.
Well, like I said, do you apply the same judgment standards to all the other vices out there? Do you tell the drinkers to quit drinking? Do you tell the fatties to stop eating? Do you do that? Do you stop the little whorelets and strumpets from cancerizing their cervixes? Do you do that? Please? Do you stop? Like I said, do you have a pocket full of condoms that you hand out for free and talk about safe sex? Do you do that?
I'm saying that I've got justifiable reasons for you to refrain.
Well, when you decide, the other part of this video, he's just wasting time talking about I'm a man, I'm the man, and I like to walk in the really cold. when you do that, like if the sidewalk isn't plowed, I mean, do you walk in the street? And do you force cars to have to go around you to drive? I mean, do you jeopardize the safety of the highways to enjoy your silly little I'm a man march? Just passing judgment, sensibly, just incurious.
From doing that. Okay, now that's an assumption that's built into my question. I know that you shouldn't be smoking. That is the bedrock upon which my entire approach to that person who is smoking is based upon.
Right, and you don't have the counter logic that says, well, 99% of people have some sort of comfort vice. And I personally probably have some of those, like walking in the street and fucking up traffic. So I guess I shouldn't pass judgment. And maybe I should just whisper it to myself. Ooh, he's smoking. What a do? Ooh, naughty person, naughty person. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. Really. Shove it, fuckhead.
I'm coming at that person in the assumption that they shouldn't be smoking. And they have to, from that starting point, show me that they are justified in smoking.
Well, really, it's an addiction, okay? So, I mean, really, if you want to stop smoking, we know that most people, unlike idiots like Piro or something, you know, there's like 4.04% of cigarette smokers are like complete retarded imbeciles who start sometime later in life. But most cigarette smokers get addicted when they're kids. So, I mean, really, the whole point is, why don't you ask kids how they started smoking, and then when you find out who gave them their first cigarette, why don't you go up to that kid and punch him in the fucking nuts? Why don't you do that? Okay? That would be more constructive than nagging an addict about their addiction. I mean, really.
Who am I to ask them that? And I don't mean that to say, you know, the usual, who the hell do you think you are to do that?
Yeah, well, go on. Like I said, it's really great. I think more people ought to say it out loud, okay? When they see somebody doing something stupid, we all have to have the liberty to say, you're a stupid fucker, without worrying about the guy going home, getting his shotgun, and blowing your face off. So, yeah, if we didn't really have to worry about the consequences of a crazy people coming to get us, like even on the internet, you can't say some things because the crazy people will come and get you. That's the world we live in, right? You can't have free speech anymore because the crazy fucks will get you.
No, I think that it's a legitimate question. How am I phrasing the entire interaction when I require justification?
I don't know. Why don't you videotape one of these interactions you have with people where you pull the cigarette out of their mouth? I'd love you to try that shit with me, fuckhead. I would just love to see some asshole pull a cigarette. Somebody without really nice tits. I'd love to see someone without really nice tits try pulling a cigarette out of my fucking mouth.
Someone. I ask somebody, why are you smoking? I've automatically framed the question in such a way that justification is assumed necessary.
Why are you being a traffic menace? Okay, fine. Yeah, we can just play. I'm saying it's perfectly reasonable. Let's all ask each other. I can answer the question. You want to ask me why I'm doing something? I'll have a fucking answer. It's not that fucking difficult to answer the fucking question. I'll either have an answer like because I'm hungry, or because I have a hard dick, or because I'm hungry, or because... Yeah, well, yeah, the answers aren't going to be that fucking complicated. It's because I'm going to want to do it. And I'm going to understand that I'm not hurting anybody, really, by doing it. Not any more than the rest of you fuckers are doing. So, yeah, my carbon footprint is okay. So go find somebody with a worse one. Yeah, go nag somebody else. Fuckhead.
How do I justify that? How does justification, or the requirement for justification, justify itself?
Well, because that's the only way you can have efficiency. That's right, you have to force the system to justify itself. The car you have, right? If your car never starts and never works and the tires always go flat, you would say, hey, This car can't justify itself. Why should I pay insurance and registration fees and licensing fees? The car doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. It's a piece of shit. It's unfunctional. It doesn't meet the standard. That's right. You pass judgment when there's a standard of behavior, of performance. We have a standard of performance for human beings, which means you can't consume, all right, more than you produce. All right, and if you do that, you're called failure. And if you do that obscenely badly, if you fail to another standard, a certain standard of failure where you're really obnoxious in your consumption and you're harming things and destroying things and soiling things all over the place, then it's time to apply the judgment and say you're just not worth the oxygen you're consuming, you fucker, and we're going to stop you from consuming it.
If everything is unjustified and unjustifiable, then...
Everything is unjustifiable? No, it's all justifiable in the sense that 99% of behavior is kind of justifiable. Most of the shit people are doing that isn't great shit isn't obscenely bad shit. Right? I mean, there's lots of little vices. There aren't lots of big vices. You know, there's only a certain number of murderers and rapists and wife beaters and child molesters. I mean, it's not a huge number. It's too big, but it's not huge.
The requirement for justification is unjustified as well.
Yeah, did you hear that? So the requirement for justification is unjustifiable as well. Because we can answer the question? No, you can ask the question. It's perfectly sensible to say, why do I need to justify my behavior? And then you just simply answer the question. You need to justify it because we live in a society where we are exchanging value. Happiness and suffering are what we're paying for. These are the pluses and the minuses. And if you're causing a bunch of minus... okay, that's very expensive for all of us because we have to try to compensate for that. We have to clean up your messes. And we'd rather do something fun instead of cleaning up your mess. Right? So there's the justification for the judgment. It's not that difficult to justify passing judgment. It's a rational thing to do. It's logical.
I did a long-winded thing a week or so ago about Anekantavad, and Anekantavad ultimately has to be applied to itself. The request for justification ultimately has to be applied to itself.
Right. So you have to justify rationally applying standards and judging the things that are part of the competition to meet the standards and discerning which ones are meeting the standards and which ones are failing to meet the standards. And that can be done, right? I just did it. I just justified, okay, having a system of justification where you have to explain how you are meeting the proper standards. That is not asking too much. Okay? I mean, that's like a cop, you know, pulls you over on the road and says, how many fingers am I holding up? He's not asking too much. Alright? He might be asking too little. I mean, if that's all you have to do is say, do, you win and get to run somebody over. I mean, maybe he should ask even more from you, not less. God, I really do dislike this fucker.